Today's video will be a very interesting video, I must say. I start the new year by talking about an affordable cable brand. Something that I normally do not do, as you guys know. But I thought it would be a very, very interesting start of 2022 and give you my thoughts on this affordable cable line. This cable brand reached out to me through email, and for full transparency, they came to me. They wanted to have their product at my door. They wanted to put this cable at my door in order for me to give them my personal opinion. But as you know, I also have to be extremely transparent and share this with you guys, my followers. This brand is a cable brand known by Clarus out of Orlando, Florida. And I am specifically going to be talking about their Crimson top of the line cables. Okay. They sent me a full loom of cables, which included their Crimson USB, speaker cables, XLRs, power cords. Let me talk a little bit about what I have had here in case you're new to the channel. I currently have a set, almost a full loom, I should say, of Shunyata research cables, which include their Omega power cords, Sigma version 2 speaker cables, and of course their Sigma version 2 XLRs. I also own transparent Generation 5 Opus speaker cables, Opus Generation 5 power cords, and their Reference XL Generation 6 XLRs, which is their new model that just was recently released. Okay, so very different price points. Okay, transparent being the most expensive cable line that I own. Let me give you a little feedback about this. So these cables are all copper cables. Okay, the main design on the speaker cables themselves is essentially they use a heavy gauge conductor for the low frequencies. They use a flat conductor for the mid-range, and what they call a spiral ribbon conductor for the high frequencies. Okay, and the thought here is that they are trying to separate all frequencies so they do not interact with each other. That's at a high level what they're doing with their speaker cables. Now, their power cords, guys, are, I gotta tell you, impressive. I mean, from a construction standpoint, what I saw was it makes some of my best power cords in here look like they're the cheaper options, if I'm being honest. Okay, but we know construction doesn't really tell you the whole story about the sound, right? So I'm only talking about the construction. From a construction standpoint, guys, these cables leave nothing to be desired. I mean, nothing. Everything about the cable construction is pretty solid. The connectors on the power cords are very big, very heavy, very well built. I mean, they really, really feel, they're extremely heavy power cords as well. I'm very impressed with the construction of the Clarus Crimson cable line. Nothing really to bash him on, nothing really bad to say about the construction. Okay, everything is there. Once again, I'm very impressed. I feel like these cables, based on looks alone, should be worth more than their asking price. Now, let's move on to the sound, which is the most important part here. Okay, what I did here essentially was introduce one variable at a time. I grab the power cords that they sent me, and I use them on my Griffin Mephisto solos. I plugged them in. I left the rest of my cabling system as it was, which was transparent cables. And as you guys know, cables need time to settle in, and I did that. Approximately 2 days later, I felt that the presentation was a little narrower than my Omega Shunyata cables, power cords. I didn't feel it as big sounding, but of course I knew that it was probably the fact that I hadn't played the cables long enough. So what I did is I brought out 2 additional power cords they sent me, and I plugged those into my MSB reference. Same results. Cables felt a little congested, not a big sound stage, not much happening. Okay. Now, as time went on, I began to continue to hear the cables, the power cords to be specific, and I felt that now I started to hear things open up. I started hearing things on my sides, behind me, and I started to hear a lot more separation and nuance. Texture of the presentation, the organic feeling was coming alive, and the biggest thing that I heard was the bass. The bass, especially my MSB reference DAC, went up a couple of notches. I mean, it really did get a lot more muscle, more bottom end heavy, which I welcome in my room, and I liked a lot of what that cable was doing, power cord was doing. So then my next step was to move on to the XLRs. So I replaced my transparent XLRs with the Clarus Crimson XLRs that they sent me, and the same thing. I felt that the sound went backwards. It got a little more congested again. Things didn't sound as big. There wasn't that much clarity. So I thought, once again, Jay, wait for another 2 days and come back. I did just that. Things got a little better, to be honest with you. I felt that things got just a tad better than the beginning stages. But I thought that the power cord had made a larger difference in my system than the XLRs. I thought the XLRs didn't make the huge jump from okay to a hell of a lot better. I felt that with the XLRs, the jump wasn't that drastic as it was with the power cords. So then I moved on to the final stage, which was my USB cable, the USB cable they sent me, as well as the speaker cables they sent me. When I did that, once again, I felt the sound was a little thinner. It wasn't as powerful. It didn't feel as impressive. So once again, let the system settle for a few days, continue to listen. I walked in and out of the room constantly, not paying attention to anything. I was just letting the cables settle in. And this is a perfect segue for me to continue to reinforce the importance of a full cable loom. I have to repeat myself. Please, when you're doing these cable changes, I recommend full looms, regardless of the brand. If you can do it, or at least work your way to a full cable loom, please do just that. Stop mix and matching. I believe the mix and matching game leads to more confusion than anything else. And of course, if you have lived with the full loom, you can go ahead and, venture out with different brands and bring a different power cord, couple of things here and there. You can do that. But until you have a full loom of the brand that you like, I don't believe it's a smart practice to get out there and begin your journey with cables mix and matching. I think that's a stupid idea. Okay, so getting back to the conversation with the Clarus cables. About day number 4, I think, on day number 4, I felt that the system has definitely taken a different direction. It was more of a fuller presentation that I was getting. It was very organic, very powerful. It didn't sound sluggish to me. The Mephistos actually responded quite well to this cabling system. I was very impressed. My Solution 725, my MSB reference, really didn't communicate anything alarming that was for me to really nitpick about. I felt that the sound was pretty complete top to bottom. Now, the reason for this review is to basically tell you guys, you need to pay a close look at Clarus Crimson cables. I mean, they have completely shown me the law of diminishing returns. They have shown me that far more money doesn't necessarily mean far better performance. Okay, there isn't a $30,000 or $35,000 gap between Clarus cables and transparent cables. That's not what I'm hearing here. Okay, as a matter of fact, I will say this. I feel that my MSB reference DAC has probably sounded the very best. My Tyco Extreme music server sounds fuller with these power chords as well. It sounds like it's got more meat on the bones. The high frequencies seem a lot more under control. Okay, there isn't so much more, I wouldn't call it bite, because then the whole criticism about brightness will begin. There's simply just better things to my ears happening. Now again, this is all system dependent. I must say this. In my system, I like what I'm hearing with the Crimson power chords. But if I was looking for a full system that's affordable, guys, you have my 100% recommendation on this Clarus Crimson cable line. And you know I've only been slinging some of the craziest cables in here. You guys know me, okay? And I'm comparing here against some of the heavy hitters, okay? I'm telling you, with some of the best electronics available today. And I'm telling you what I'm hearing through my rig in here is quite impressive. I mean, it makes me think like this. I'm scratching my head like this thinking, should I just get rid of all my cables and put this cable line in here and put the rest of the money in the bank? Because it's that good. The cables are really, really good. I have never heard of this line before. No clue. They reached out to me. They wanted me to put out a review and share it with you guys. Okay, you can find reviews on this cable line. I believe Absolute Sound had a review on it. I agree with a lot of what they said on this review, and there are probably another 2 reviews that I read, and everything that they're saying on those reviews matches with what I'm feeling in the room. The cables completely challenge the price performance conversation. Really amazing performance for the money. The construction, I go back to that, guys. The construction is incredible. The power cords, I'm telling you, they're heavy. The heavy gauge power cords, the connectors are so well built on the power cords. I've had other expensive power cords that will go nameless right now where I have damaged the ends, the male end of the connector. On this one, I feel like if I start pulling on the power cord, I'm going to rip the outlet out of the wall. I mean, it is just super well built. I want to tell Clarus right now, guys, keep doing what you're doing over there in Orlando. I like what I'm seeing here. I really have enjoyed my time with your product. This product looks nothing like the price indicates. It looks to me like it should be priced higher. Now, don't go out there marking up your product, okay? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I commend you for the efforts here. I like what you're doing. I like your approach. I know you guys are relatively new to this cable game. I believe I read somewhere that you've been doing this for like 8 years. And in only 8 years, you're building this level of quality and product. Can only imagine what will happen another 5 years down the road. Okay, so I actually want to know what you guys are capable of doing if you had products above the Crimson line. I would love to. It's actually a scary feeling, to be honest, because if I'm hearing these great things in my room, it makes me wonder how much farther you can take it if you built more expensive cables. Okay? Well, guys, there you have it. This is my unbiased opinion about a cable brand that came out of nowhere, knocking on my door, wanting my sincere opinion, and I have done nothing but that. Absolutely incredible cables. I love them personally. I like everything that I heard through them. So you have my recommendation. Check them out when you get a chance, okay? And I think you guys will be just as impressed as I was. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. Until the next one.